Jason, welcome to the Family Business Show.
Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. Now, we've known each other for a couple of years now, and I think you have the most extraordinary family business. So why don't you tell our audience all about what exactly it is that you do?
Okay, so we are Bedfont Scientific Limited, and we research, develop and manufacture breath analysis products for medical applications. So we started back in 1976, and that was by my father and godfather, and the company was run for a long time on just one product range, which was the Smokalyzer product, which helps to measure carbon monoxide in people's lungs when they inhale cigarette smoke. And so that product was quite quickly adopted into the stop smoking services to show people the dangers of the toxin that they're inhaling into their body, but also to help the stop smoking services to see when people had stopped. And so using that technology as the real kind of core bed of all of our products, we look at different gases that are on your breath that can indicate different things. And so now we have products that help with diagnosing lactose intolerance, for measuring airway inflammation for asthmatics, to help them to diagnose their condition, but then also to help manage their medication going forward. And we also have lots and lots of different ideas in the melting pot, thinking about what else we can do in the future as well.
So breath analysis really is probably, not a lot of people may have heard of that. So who are your customers? Are you selling direct to consumers or to health professionals?
Well, traditionally it's to customers like the NHS, the health boards, and generally primary care and secondary care. So, breath analysis being, I guess, until probably the last 5 years, really quite embryonic in healthcare. With, like you say, not a lot of people know about it, and so it's been a real education, letting people know that actually instead of having to go to the hospital and have an endoscopy or a biopsy, that you can simply blow into one of our devices and find out what's going on inside your stomach. So it's, as I say, for a long time, it's been quite an education, but now, definitely in the last 5 years, breath analysis has really become part of everyday life for doctors, GPs, hospitals, and just probably this year more than ever, provoked a little bit by the pandemic, we've also looked to widen our reach into home care.
Okay, so tell us about that then, how the pandemic has presented you with an opportunity.
Well, actually a lot of my friends and business associates, when the pandemic hit, were kind of looking at Bedfont in terms of thinking, well, you're a medical company, so you guys must be doing very well at the moment. And, whilst we do have, we've been lucky during this pandemic, but we sell products that help people with preventative medicine. So our products are helping people stop smoking so they don't get different diseases. They're for asthma management. And so actually our products were probably one of the first ones that the health services stopped doing. Because firstly, it's for preventive medicine. So it's not emergency care. It's not a surgery that needs to be done to save someone's life. It's something that they do to improve their wellness and prevent themselves from getting something in later life. And also because you have to provide a breath sample, then that's an increased risk, of people having to be close to each other and blowing into the devices, so they need to be cleaned and things afterwards as well. So, in that respect, it was a bit scary for us because everybody stopped doing breath testing. And a lot of people, especially our asthmatic patients that use our devices, are shielding because they are, one of the most high-risk groups for catching coronavirus. So, home care has always been something on our radar, but suddenly it's an area where we can see that not just home care in terms of people managing their own health, but actually providing products that are lower cost, smaller, easier to use, that we can still provide to the NHS, but then that they can be provided to people in their homes to be able to do the tests they would normally do at the hospital and send their results in. So telemedicine as such. And so that's definitely an area that we've been focusing on, and we've successfully opened ourselves an Amazon account now. So we're selling products on Amazon that we weren't doing before, and we also launched our new breathalyzer device, which is actually for helping with exercising your lungs, which is excellent for people that are recovering from some kind of lung trauma and just generally want to exercise and strengthen their lungs. And that's a product that we've kind of had on the back burner as such for a little while, and really just saw this as the perfect opportunity to get that product on the market and test out the home care scenario. And that's going quite well so far.
That's amazing, and incredible innovative thinking, and I guess the pandemic has forced you to think in different ways, like launching a product on Amazon, whereas before you had different sort of platforms for selling. So can we just rewind a little bit though, Jason, because I'd imagine you didn't grow up thinking I want to go into breath analysis. So how on earth did you get into working in the family business?
Well, I mean, actually, it wasn't ever really the plan to join Bedfont at kind of when I did. But actually, the house that I grew up in was attached to the factory. So from a very young age, I was always around the business. I saw that it was obviously a big part of my father's life. I earned a bit of pocket money helping to pack products sometimes and things. So, I was actually involved in the business from quite a young age. But having finished university, I got inducted into a management progression scheme with a large telephone company. But unfortunately, the location of where it was supposed to be held changed, and I didn't want to move that far away from home. So there was a sales job open at Bedfont at the time. And so actually, I think what my father's real plan was for me to go off and work for a big company, get a load of experience and some models, and then maybe join at a later date so he could kind of exploit that. I joined as a salesperson in the sales team, driving up and down the UK, visiting the hospitals, selling the products. And it kind of went from there, really. So, I went up into sales management, sales and marketing, commercial manager. And then in 2016, my father took the big step, really, for him to step back as managing director, have me take over. He always said to me at the time, I'm not going anywhere. I'll always be here to support you. And then very quickly moved to the end of the country down in Penzance. He kept true to his word. He's always there to support me. Again, something that we've got a lot better at now because of the pandemic is being able to talk like we are now over technology. So actually, the communication there is possibly even got better when we're not two offices away from each other. Actually, there's a lot more distance, but probably a lot more quality talking that happens these days.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And so, how have you found your journey? Being a sales director is one thing, and then you start managing people, and all of a sudden you were looking after a team of 50 odd people, haven't you, down there? And how have you found your journey as a leader? I mean, where do you pull your strength from? How do you battle those challenges?
Well, I think for anyone is the biggest challenge of running a business. It's not looking after products or thinking of new ideas. We have those all the time, but making sure that the team are using the tools that we give them, or empowering them to do their job to a high standard, and trusting people as well. As a business owner or running a business, I think a lot of people who run businesses like to be in control. Yeah. And that's definitely the same for myself. I like to be able to control my environment. I like to be able to know what I'm doing, have a plan. And so, that for me is one of the most important things about running a business, is to trust in your team and to invest in their development. to empower them to do their job to a high standard. Again, going back to the pandemic, the day I heard that we were going to have a lockdown and people weren't going to be allowed to go to the office and things like that, being in charge of a business can sometimes be a bit of a lonely place. And so all of a sudden I'm thinking to myself, how are we going to survive this? What are we going to do? Is there going to be anything that the government are going to do to support us in this? And, I consider myself blessed because I work with my wife, who actually is a huge support for me. I'm not only a bit of a control freak, but I can be, I work in straight lines. I can be a little bit of a panicker. And she's always a calming influence to be able to sort of sit me down and say, okay, well, let's think about this. What's the worst that can happen? What's the best that can happen? Get the team involved. You don't have to do this on your own. And so, as I say, I was humbled really that within hours, probably, if longest days, the management team at Bedfont all went off in different directions with their own job to do, finding out about this new furlough thing that had been thought up by the government, and how that could work, and what we were going to do in the office, how we were going to continue to run the office, because we do sell medical products at the end of the day, so we have to keep that running.
Yeah.
And actually, like I say, it was a huge support for me, because at that point I realised that I wasn't alone in that decision. I didn't have to think about everything. They went and did their jobs to a really high standard, and so that was a really nice moment for me in business.
Brilliant. And there are so many terrible things that have happened, and I'm sure each and every one of us have been through some really dark moments. But apart from that, putting together the team, have there been any other fantastic positives that you think actually they're here to stay?
Well, one of the things that was a bit of an unexpected side effect is that our overheads are very, very low at the moment. And we haven't we've been able to keep everybody at the business. And so that hasn't changed, but actually we were always doing a lot of international travel, exhibitions in different countries, and when you do those types of activities, you can have lots of different ways to try and measure the return on the investment you're getting. But a lot of the time, especially like an exhibition, for example, one exhibition for one product range in one country can cost you £20,000 to £30,000. And as a small business, that's a huge investment. And sometimes you just come away thinking, it was good we were there. We didn't see any direct sales, some of our competitors are there as well. So we think, well, we have to be there if they're going to be there. Yeah. And what we've seen is that without doing any of those activities, we've still managed to stay at a certain level of sales. And actually, again, going back to the whole communication side of things, Zoom has given us this whole new media that we can communicate with our distributors with. I've never spoken so much to our Japanese distributor, because before then it was just, it's so far away.
Yeah.
And it seems so alien to get on a video call and have a chat about what's going on and how they're reacting. And so that's been a huge positive for us. The overhead is showing us that we don't have to spend quite so much money, and we can put some of that more into our online presence, our website, our search engine optimization. So these lower cost ways to have as much as an impact on marketing as those other activities have had before. So that enables us to put that money back into R&D, development of staff. And so, whilst our sales have been substantially down in this period, actually our profitability has been up. So that's a really unexpected side effect of what's been going on.
Amazing. And may I suggest you just send your wife on holiday with that extra cash?
Yeah, nice. I mean, the problem we've got is every holiday we seem to book at the moment, that country goes into lockdown. So I've said to my wife, for the sake of us and that country, don't book anything else.
Okay, so well, yeah, that absolutely, and there's that saying, isn't there, that if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And actually, hasn't this given a lot of businesses the opportunity, force their hand into something? But like you say, you've just managed to slash your overheads and your costs because you've always done those things because you've always done them. But actually, now there's a new way, and new platforms like Amazon are absolutely incredible, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so going forward then, it's obviously still going to be really, really difficult for UK businesses, family businesses in particular. You know, when your name's above the door, you literally there is no plan B. You just have to knuckle down. And there will be, you know, slow growth and recovery. But what does the future look like for you guys at Bedfont, and what are your ambitions coming out the other side of this?
Well, our ambitions are to continue our growth trajectory that we were on previously. You know, we're self-financing here, and so we have had a number of years now, more recently, where breath analysis has becoming more commonplace of some really good organic growth. And so we want to keep building on that, but also taking some of the new lessons that we've learned throughout this pandemic to build on those. You know, I think there's a lot that's happened that we did before that has really paid dividends during this period as well. It's like exporting.
Yeah.
Again, you know, I personally started at Bedfont in 2007, and you know, I'd just come out of uni. So I knew all these models and all these different terms and things. So, you know, my dad said to me, well, you know, go and have a look at the business and tell me where the problems are. And, you know, it was being done really well. But the one glaring issue that I noticed was that we had 80% of our turnover coming from one market in the UK. And 90% of that was from one product. And so, you know, my recommendation was that, you know, we'd already started at that point exporting goods, but to a very limited number of companies. And so the recommendation was really to get more products exported and to spread our risk. And so again, one thing that's happened to us during the pandemic is that as one market locked down, one was opening again. Yeah. And so, you know, we had this kind of period where, you know, we'd be selling in all markets going across, and we were actually doing really, really well at the end of March. So it was disappointing that, you know, this happened because we really were doing well this year. But our reliance on one product and one market has gone down substantially since then. So like I say, as one went down, one came up, another one came up. And so we're now seeing that markets coming back on board again. We're definitely hoping there's not going to be a second peak and then more lockdowns, because, you know, more than just for our business, but for everybody, that would be a hugely disappointing scenario. But it's you know, exporting has been really our saviour throughout this, because without that, if we were so reliant on the UK still, the UK hasn't started breath testing still. So we would have been in a much different place.
So you've been exporting for a while now then, but can I ask you, if there's a family business out there watching this, who are thinking, I've got this brilliant product or widget or service, I think it would be brilliant in other countries around the world, but I don't know where to start. What would your advice be?
Well, we've done this in a number of different ways. So, you know, that's one of the good things that you can get out from going to trade shows, because, you know, for us, we do medical devices, and in Europe, the biggest one's called Medica, which is held in Dusseldorf in November every year, and everybody goes there. So you get a stand, and all the companies that sell devices in different countries all come around and they look at your products, and then you can engage with them on that sort of platform. We rely on that a lot less now, because we have a distribution network of about 80 to 90 distributors globally now. And so, but in the early days, those type of trade shows were instrumental in us meeting other companies that were interested in selling our products. We also did some trade visits with, I think it was UKTI back then, but I think it might be DTI now, or where they actually sponsor you to go and visit the country. They line up some companies that they feel would be good for you to go and visit to sell your products. So there are a number of different ways, and again, Google is great for everything, isn't it? You go on there, what is your product? Who are the other companies that are in that country that are selling similar products to yours? Make contact with them, and have an open discussion with them about selling the product. There are a number of different ways to recruit distributors.
Yeah.
Getting the right ones is a different story. But we have some distributors now that we've worked with since 1988, I think, was our first distributor, who incidentally we actually acquired recently, and in Austria, and now that's our European office.
Brilliant.
So we launched our European office over Skype, over Zoom, because we couldn't do it in person, unfortunately. But that relationship's been going for a very, very long time. And so the owner of that business, again, another family business, wanted to retire, didn't have anyone to succeed the business to, so actually approached Bedfont, and we acquired their business, and that's now our European outlet. A bit of prep for Brexit. That's another big exciting thing that's happened this year for us.
Amazing. So rather than thinking perhaps I've got to go and set up my own brand new office in a country and take a risk and hope that it works, actually building up a distribution network, or finding someone in another country that does a similar thing or sells a similar product and it might be quite complementary, that's quite a scalable way of building up your export, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's much lower cost for sure. Obviously, you have to give them a discount, so you're losing out on margin on the products. But at the end of the day, you don't have any fixed overhead. If their sales are low, then you're just missing out on the sales, not having to pay salespeople on the ground, offices, and that kind of thing. So yes, it's definitely it's a very sustainable way to get your business out there quickly.
Brilliant. Okay. But with that comes the B word, which I think everyone had forgotten about until recently, which is Brexit. So how, if any way, is that going to affect you?
It did affect us previously, because I think the uncertainty was the worst thing about it all. We really didn't know as a business how we'd have to react, and then when they start talking about no deal Brexits and all these kind of things, that was a little bit scary. But in the end, we did get a deal. We know as a medical device manufacturer what our requirements are to. We had to move our accredited body from the UK to Europe. So we did all that. We bit the bullet and did it very early in the process so that we had it ready if there was a no deal. Again, I think the management team were very well prepared to come to me and ask. It's always, I think, a bit hard to go to your boss and ask for a big chunk of money to do something that might not happen. But we did the right thing, because when it was getting close to the wire on the no deal, those accredited bodies were up to here with clients, and a lot of those were not going to be able to transfer their business across before the deadline. And so if there had been a no deal, they'd have been out of Europe the day after. And we couldn't, we do export a lot of our business to Europe. I think now about 30 to 40% of our business is in Europe. So we couldn't afford to lose that overnight. So we bit the bullet, and we did the transition already. So hopefully we're expecting, once Brexit actually does happen, that we're prepared for that.
Prepared. Good, excellent. Okay, right, I've got two last questions for you, Jason. First of all, how do you personally, as a leader, grow and develop? What do you study? Do you train? What resources do you use? Is it just about keeping fit and keeping mentally strong? How do you personally, as a leader, get through some of these challenging times?
I think most of mine's on the job. Unfortunately, I don't have time to do any extracurricular learning. I think what I have done is to, rely on my family to help me through some of the tough times. And as I said, my wife is my absolute rock in these situations. She not only calms me down, helps me with decisions in the business. But she's the glue that holds our whole family unit together. So, I'm privileged that I'm able to work with her and not drive her mad enough to have murdered me yet. I think a lot of the people that work at the business, look at that as not odd, I'd say, but just it's amazing that we can work together and live together. But that's more down to her than me.
That's actually her punch bag behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, but again, my dad, he ran the business for 35 years before I took over. And so, most of the problems, definitely not the pandemic, but, most of the problems, recessions, problems with products, problems with countries, he'd been there and done it before. So, again, he's a great resource for me to be able to call up, go down and see, talk to, and just say, look, what did you do in this scenario? I'm not going to say I always do exactly what he says, but it's always good to get what worked, what didn't work, and some definite, hard experience of these things that have happened in the past. So, I've mentioned the word lucky previously, and I'm going to quote my dad as in terms of saying, you're luckier the harder you work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, we all work really hard, but we are also lucky that we've got each other. But then, it also extends out to the management team and all of the staff at Bedfont. Like I say, in a family, something goes wrong and everybody converges, everybody mucks in, and suddenly all the squabbles, all the problems that you had previous to that, none of that matters anymore.
No.
And like I said before, when the pandemic got announced and suddenly we've got this huge challenge to overcome, it was just amazing how everybody in the business did the same thing. And a lot of that comes from, I feel, the way that we look after our employees as well. So, we've always invested in making sure people are comfortable, making sure they've got enough training, and really just treating everybody like part of the family. During lockdown, we had to take advantage of the furlough scheme, which again was a bit of a lifesaver for the business. And you'd think that if you go to someone and say to them, "We're going to pay you, but you're not allowed to do any work." Before all of this, you'd have thought that people would jump at that opportunity. Yeah, of course I will. But you have to think about it from their point of view as well, in terms of, well, does that mean that I'm not important to the business? Because Jeff hasn't gone on furlough, but I have. And so, we had to deal with that situation sensitively and making sure that nobody in the business felt that they were not as important as anybody else or didn't contribute as much. But clearly there are some roles within the business that can't be done remotely, or even we use the furlough scheme in terms of making sure that we could sustain the finances of the business as well. So, that was a delicate situation that we had to deal with people. And again, we were bowled over with people's willingness to help. Put me on furlough, but I'll still do the work. No, you're not allowed to. But people were helping out in other ways as well. So, while we were off, we were having regular Zoom calls with the whole business. And for some of those calls, we were doing outfits and making sure that everybody was motivated and still felt as part of the team, even if they weren't directly working at that time. And those people that were on furlough were very happy to distribute outfits or some of the little kits that we sent out to people, face masks. We distributed face masks to the whole company. So again, they were very happy to help distribute those to people's homes. So it was the whole experience for me has been scary, challenging, but really gratifying in terms of how the company reacted.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And that doesn't happen overnight. That is testament to
No.
what you and then your dad before you, all those hours and all those difficult decisions, that's testament to how you run your family business for the last 30, 40 years. You know, that doesn't just happen by magic, does it?
No, no. There's been a lot of effort that's gone into that, but you know, the team that we have make it easy. Really, you know, they are a great group of people. We've got 50 people now, and so you know that's a lot of mouths to feed, it's a lot of mortgages to pay.
Yeah.
So there is a certain amount of pressure that comes with that, but you know we've really got a great team of people. I always envisaged you know our transition from small business to medium sized, being 10 million turnover or 50 people. And so we're getting close to the 10 million, not there yet, but we've got 50 people now. And so we've done the first step. So we're managing to run the business profitably with a good base of people working there now. So that's the first step done.
Amazing. And you will get there. I've absolutely known. And I've met your whole team and they are extraordinary. You know, every single one of them is a raving ambassador for Bedfont. You know, it's incredible. You feel it the moment you walk in, and that's quite unique in today's business world, I think. So, well, congratulations. My last question then, are there
Yeah.
one or two things, and there is no right or wrong answer here, and I'm not asking you to be an expert at everything, but are there one or two things that you would, you know, advice that you would give to another family business leader that you think can help build a stronger business for the future? So some of the things that maybe you've done or that you've learnt that you think I want to pass that advice on to someone else.
Well, we've talked about it quite a bit just now, but you know, investing in employees, you know, the people that make your business tick, you have to look after those people, because you know we as entrepreneurs, I think you know we have a natural ability to have ideas, to push forward, to I think work in straight lines a little bit. But you know, especially working in the medical industry, you need the infrastructure around you and the people that can do their jobs to a high standard to make sure that they are supporting the trying to get to those markets. And you know, there's been quite a lot of change, I think, probably from in recent years, but definitely since I took over, influenced again from my wife. You know, I think women in general can have a bit more empathy than men when it comes to the office space. You know, those old adages of, you know, leave your problems at the door, that kind of thing. They don't really exist in today's business world, I don't think. And so, you know, making sure that you listen to your employees, you look after them. You know, we last year signed up to a scheme where, you know, we don't have someone internally who can really give people counselling or help them with personal problems that they're going through. So we signed up to a scheme that's external to the business, which any of our employees can call and get professional advice on legal matters, on mental health, a whole range of different things. And that's been used a lot. And it's, again, you know, you can't expect people to leave all their problems at the door. You know, I had another extremely humbling experience where, you know, one member of staff wasn't acting normal. And, you know, a couple of people were sort of saying, oh, you know, what's wrong with him today? A bit grumpy. And in the end, I had to kind of, you know, put my arm around him and say, you know, what's going on? And it, you know, it turned out a very close family member of his was very ill. And I said, what are you doing here? Go home. Go and support that person. You know, they're your family. I'd do the same for mine. And so, you know, I think people can really worry about, you know, can they bring their problems to work? Can they talk to people about it? And I think investing in making sure that people know that they can do that, they can come to you or someone within the business, or indeed an external mechanism for that is that's something that we've really heavily invested in ourselves. And it's definitely helping, for sure.
And while I remember, I want you to tell our audience about Robot Wars.
Robot Wars?
When we came to see you and you said you were thinking of different ways to incentivize people in your team.
Yes. Okay. Right. Yeah. So that hasn't actually, we haven't done that yet. So you just reminded me about it. But yeah, I mean, incentives are always a difficult subject because, you know, some people, if you work in a sales job, you get commission. And again, I don't want to generalize, but, you know, salespeople, I am one myself by trade, are motivated by earning money. So that's a great way to incentivize those people because the more they sell, the more money they make.
Yeah.
Not everybody's the same. Some people like a pat on the back. Some people don't even like that. You know, it's embarrassing being sort of singled out in front of people. And so, you know, we did come up with this idea previously that, you know, the technical team, who all have a keen interest in Robot Wars, could have a bit of time on a Friday and some budget to put together their own robot and enter it in the competition. And so, you know, as I say, we haven't got round to that yet because it was, I think it was only sort of the end of last year that we had this idea, kind of floated the idea to everybody, and then it was just another casualty of coronavirus, unfortunately. But definitely that's something we're looking to re-raise with everybody because it's you know, we think it's just something fun for people to get on with and do. So you know, I'd love to see a Bedfont robot on Robot Wars for sure.
But I just love the idea of thinking differently and understanding the whole person rather than just seeing them as an employee and, like you say, leaving your problems at the door. And you know what, the business will only benefit from that, won't they? From a very happy technical team on a Friday afternoon with a beer and a spanner or whatever they use.
Yeah.
The business will only benefit from that, and they will be so loyal to you. And I just wanted our audience to hear some of those, you know, just ideas outside the box, you know, just to think differently. And I think we've all had to suddenly think differently, haven't we? We've had to think on our feet a little bit, but having some brilliant ideas come from that, and that's what really excites me. And that family businesses are agile enough to make those ideas happen. You know, that's where it matters, because a lot of people have ideas, not many people make them happen. So so thank you for sharing that. I just thought that would be a bit of fun. Okay, last shameless plug for Bedfont. You've got a whole audience out there of other people running their family businesses who want to help you, want to see you succeed. So, you know, what can we do to help you?
I guess, you know, spread the idea about the products that we do. You know, as I said, we are looking into the consumer realm now. So anybody out there that wants to strengthen their lungs, exercise their lungs, we've got a product, Breathacize, that's on Amazon now. It's only $17.99. So very, very small investment into your health, which is the most important thing. It's surprising how many people will spend £3,000 on a TV, but won't spend $17.99 on their health. It's crazy. And really just, you know, we enjoy the networking events that we go on with you guys. And obviously we haven't been able to do that for a while. And, you know, we want to get back to doing that kind of thing, the award ceremonies we've done. So again, you know, just doing what we've been doing with the family business place more when we get on the other side of this would be great as well. So, you know, from our point of view, we're an international business, so it's good to be able to shout about these things, especially awards and things like that we do with the family business place. It's getting the message out there is top priority.
Brilliant. Okay, so and if there are any other businesses out there in the medical profession or who have great contacts abroad, then, you know, we can put your details on and people can get in touch. And I think, you know, we're in this together, aren't we? Like you said, it can be very lonely running a family business sometimes, isn't it? Like someone else just picks up the phone and says, I watched your video, it was great to hear from you, I think I might have a contact that can help, or, you know, any small thing. Well, Jason, thank you so much for your time today. Absolutely fascinating. And I would urge anyone watching this to go and check out your website, watch some of the videos, go on to Amazon and buy a Breathacize, because particularly at the moment, a great way, you know, to improve your health. And I think you've got an extraordinary business. So congratulations to you and the whole Bedfont team.
Thank you very much.